So what Sean was saying is the key is Dove shampoo for the beard. All right.
Sorry, I'm trying to put your lens
No, you're
on.
good.
There you go.
All right. So like Trevor said, I'm going to talk about this modifier because not a lot of people talk about this modifier when you think portraits and weddings and all that fun stuff. So this is the Mag Beam, okay? The Mag Beam, you may have seen this in the wildlife kit, or you may have seen this used on the wide end of things where you put patterns and gobos up on the wall and all that fun stuff. But I'm going to talk to you about using it for portraits and on a wedding day. We're going to talk about throwing light, okay? We're going to throw light with this modifier. So all of these images here are on a wedding day, and you'll notice that there's no light stand or anything like that in here. I didn't have to Photoshop the light stand out at all. What we're doing is we're using this to, as it's stuck to my tag here, we're using this to throw light and keep the light outside of the frame so we don't have to Photoshop the light out, okay? We do a lot of environmental portraits, and that means we're using a wide angle lens, like a 16 to 35, and we're super far away from our couples. We're doing, big scenes, little people. And I'm lazy, I don't want to do any Photoshopping, okay? Who's with me? Does anybody enjoy Photoshop? No, all right, seriously. Who uses the Mag Beam? Anybody using the Mag Beam? Just one person? All right, do you guys know what the Mag Beam is, like before you got here? No? Okay, all right. Well, like you said, you're in the right place. Okay, so I'm Chad, that's my better half, Beth. She's actually the one that takes all the good photos. We're a husband and wife team out of North Carolina. She couldn't be with me here today, so just me. I'm sorry. All right. So what is the Mag Beam? So the Mag Beam is actually one of the most versatile diffusers or lighting modifiers in the MagMod lineup. Dang, this thing's magnets are really annoying sometimes. Okay. So how do you use it? So there's several different ways you can use it. I mentioned using it on the wider end, using patterns like mag masks to throw, as I already lost it here. There we go. So this is a mag mask. You can slide this in here, and you can throw light patterns, or the gobos is what we call them, onto the wall using the wide part of the Mag Beam. So how I'm going to talk about is fully extending this Mag Beam and using the tele lens. Okay, the tele lens is what allows you to kind of beam the light out far. That you can recognize the tele lens because it does not have the notch. Okay, the wide lens has a notch in it. So when you're using the Mag Beam, this is very important for the first time, you want to use the smooth side out. There's two different sides to this tele lens. They have a kind of a ridged, lined side and then a smooth side. So you put the smooth side out in the front of the modifier here. It's got a little groove to slide into. And then once you start extending this beam, once I get it in here, perfect. Once you start extending that beam, the farther reach you have, okay? So you see this collapses down, you got 3 different levels, okay? So a lot of what we're using it for is beaming that light, we're gonna fully extend it, okay? This basically amplifies your flash power as well, okay? You could take a normal speed light and overpower the sun by using this as a spotlight, okay? I'm gonna show you how to do all of that. All right, so for portraits, like I said, we don't like wasting time. A lot of times we're just using a single flash or a 1 flash setup. We're using that Mag Beam with the tele lens, and we'll use corrective mag gels like a half CTO or a color blue gel to do color shifts in the sky and all that fun stuff. But it's allowing us to place that light stand far, far away. We do a lot of photos down at the coast of North Carolina. And on the coast, our couples love docks, okay? They love to get out on the dock at sunset. You got the water there. Well, it's really hard to place a light stand or an assistant on the dock next to a couple and not get the light in the frame, okay? Or to light them evenly, all right? So we'll show you, as you see in this background, that image there. Okay, so this is the first example of how we do this, all right? So this couple is all the way across the waterway from us. Our light for this image, you would think it's right around there, right? Your typical, MagGrid or MagSphere light setup, you've got to have the light close to your subject, okay? You got to have it close. You want a nice soft light. But for these environmental portraits, you don't have to have the light right up there to get that soft light, okay? So this is my exit data here. So we're Sony shooters. You'll notice that I use the 8200 a lot. So the 8200, if you don't know, it's a Godox Flashpoint It's like a pocket strobe. It's about 3 times more powerful than a speed light. Now the reason I use that light is because, well, it's more powerful for one, but it allows me to place my light even farther away than I would be able to with just the speed light. Okay. So my behind the scenes looks very pixelated. We're playing Minecraft now. All right, but my light is about 60 to 70 yards away from the couple for this photo. The couple is right here. This is us over here. And this is my wife, Beth, with the mag beam fully extended. Okay, so you'll see this shot. The light is way, way, way over here. Fully extended, beaming the light out. All right? Same thing on this next image here. See how far away we are? We got a little people, big scene. They're out on the dock. We're up this ginormous hill. So I'm a good, probably 80 yards again away from the couple. And so my flash is probably about 50 yards from the couple. Okay. These are our flash settings, 8200 again. We're shooting the flash at about half power for this. So when we're doing these sunset shots, that 8200 is so powerful that we're able to throw that light 60 to 100 yards away at half power. Okay? We don't even have to use full power. So you'll actually see in this shot, she looks like she's a lot closer than she really is for this. She's a good 40, 50 yards away from our couple here. Okay? So this is the shot on camera here. So I left this one, I left her in this one so you could see the behind the scenes. But for the final shot, we moved Beth back a little bit and got her outside of the frame. No photoshopping, no nothing. Okay?
The main difference between this and the other ones is that we can farther away.
Exactly. This just allows you to take that light and place it wherever you want, super far outside of your frame. Don't have to Photoshop your assistant or anything like that. It's really unique. Okay? And when you're doing these environmental portraits, you're probably not as worried about the softness of the light. You know, when you get the light closer to your subjects, typically that means it's a softer light, softer shadows. But you're so far away from the couple, you can't tell that the light is harsh. Okay? Now, you may be thinking, that seems like it might be a little hard to aim this light because you're beaming that narrow pattern of light out there. So a little trick that we like to use when you first get the light set up on the light stand, we're using the mag shoe so you have a good incremental adjustment. So before I even start taking the shot, I'm hitting the test fire button on my trigger and I'm watching with my eyes, not my camera. I'm watching with my eyes and making sure that light is falling on my subject. Once you can see it with your eyes, that the light is falling on the subject and it's not spilling out over on the ground or you're not wasting light up into the sky, you know you've probably got a good exposure and then you can start working from there. Okay? So light is just outside of the frame here, not as far as we normally throw it, but just another good example of using the mag beam at sunset. You'll notice a lot of these are at sunset. It's a lot easier to throw the light at sunset when you have less ambient light. Okay? Obviously, if you're trying to do this at noon during the day, you're not going to be able to get as far back. So this is the lighting setup for that one. I didn't have a behind the scenes for that. But here's the EXIF data, if you want to see that. This one was full power because there was a little bit more ambient light in the photo. Okay. I'll leave that up there a little bit longer this time. I know I'm breezing through this. Yes, sir?
Generally using on the MagGrid,
the tele lens. Yeah, so the tele lens doesn't have the notch in it, and we're going smooth side out on the tele lens. That allows you to project it kind of far. Yes, ma'am. Yes, so 24 millimeter, that's the lens. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions on that photo? All right, we're gonna move right along. Okay, we've also used the mag beam during a wedding ceremony. So back in North Carolina, we actually do a fair amount of nighttime weddings, surprisingly, or sunrise weddings. Okay, it's really hard to take a good exposure of a sunrise wedding on a beach and get a nice dramatic sky in the shot. Okay. So what we're doing is we're using 2 flashes for these, and we're doing a cross-lit type pattern where we're aiming our flashes up towards the altar or up towards where the couple's going to be standing. And we're using corrective MagGels if needed. And when our light stands and our lights are that far away from the ceremony, the guests don't even see them. They don't even notice that there's flashes going off. When you're taking a wide shot of the ceremony, you don't see the light stands in your image. So it allows you to, once again, go a little bit more unnoticeable with your light stand in your final image, okay? So this was a sunrise beach wedding. We had our lights just outside of the frame, probably about another 5 to 10 feet. And we're using the 8200s on both. Mag beam fully extended, and we're using full power for these, I believe. Okay. Now you'll notice there's not a lot of light spill on the ground here. So we aimed the lights up just a little bit. So we're feathering the light just a little bit. The beam, it doesn't have a soft edge, so you can only feather the light so much. But we're aiming it up just high enough to where the bottom of the light is catching our couple, so it's not spilling all over the ground like you see here. Okay, we did do a little bit of cloning right in here. It starts to catch. You can see the lights catching the back of the chair right there. So we did do a little bit of cloning there to kind of clean up the spill a little bit. So this is the exif. We're using a 35 millimeter for that one. Once again, we're pretty far away from our couple for this shot. All right, full power, fully extended. And this is our lighting setup. So these lights are actually a little bit farther back. As you saw, there's a little bit of light spill on the back rows. Most of the time we try to go for this setup where the lights are a little bit forward of the guests so you don't catch anybody standing up and catching shadows. So it's kind of a give and take scenario when you're in a ceremony. You have to find a balance where the two light stands are at, where you're not catching guest shadows when they stand, but you're also not getting some crazy shadows from bridesmaids or groomsmen or your couple, okay? So you have to find a good balance about where you're placing the light stands, okay? All right, that's not supposed to be there, but all right. So another way we use the mag beam is we use it to overpower the sun. You heard me mention earlier, you can use just a standard speed light with this mag beam on it, and you can use it almost like a spotlight to overpower the sun. Right? So we'll show you how to do that. We love dramatic exposure, so a lot of times what we're doing with our overall ambient exposure is we're killing that ambient light down. We're knocking the ambient light down as much as possible. So these next two photos I'm going to show you, I believe the first one right here, this was taken at 2 o'clock in the afternoon where it's still very, very sunny. Okay. We did find a little bit of a shady area for the groomsmen here, but we're basically mimicking a spotlight type effect or a sun effect, just using the mag beam and a standard speed light. And we're just right outside of the frame here. So for this one, we're not taking the light super, super far away. We're bringing it in closer to overpower that ambient light, to overpower that sun. All right? And we're using it almost as a spotlight. Any questions on that photo? Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Do you have another light as well?
No, just the one beam. So
where is it?
our light is going to be right about here, and we're having the groom look up towards the light. And we have the groomsmen far enough back to where the light is only hitting the groom here and it's not spilling. Just outside of the frame, probably, this was taken with a wide lens, so I would probably say about 4 or 5 feet. Okay, relatively close. And it's just a standard speed light. We're not using that strobe for this one. So this is just demonstrating how powerful you can make a speed light for this type of look. Okay. And you can see we're up pretty high. I wasn't using high-speed sync for this, so I was cranking the aperture up. But once again, using kind of a wide-angle lens, a little bit on the longer end for some compression. And that was back when we shot with nighttime and all that fun stuff. But we're at half the power. We weren't even at full power for that shot. Okay. And that's the lighting setup there. All right. So another way, not just overpowering the sun, you can mimic the sun. You can mimic that hard light look. If you guys have seen Jason Vincent's work, he loves the hard light, the hard sunlight. You can mimic that with just your mag beam. So right here on our bride, we are using the sunlight. Okay, we got standard, big, powerful sun up in the sky, beaming down on her face. We've placed our groom back behind her, and he's in the shade. He's completely in the shade, completely in darkness. And we're using the 8200 and the mag beam over here on this side to mimic the sunlight. Okay? So this is just showing you how powerful you can make this tool with that spotlight. So sun over here, speed light over there. All right? See how good we are on time. We're rolling. All right. So not just overpowering the sun, you can make your own sun with the mag beam. Have you guys, are any of you guys in the MagMod community on Facebook actively? I'm sure you've seen photos where people are using a half CTO or a full CTO gel to kind of mimic a golden hour, right? So if you got bad weather, you have bad light, you can use all those modifiers with just a half CTO or a full CTO gel and mimic that wonderful sunset or golden hour light. But you can also do it with the mag beam, and it allows you to amplify that light even more powerful than it is. You don't have to have the light. You can have the light farther back. You can have it close. It doesn't really matter. But what I've found is the mag beam produces an interesting flare as well. So it's not, you'll see in this next photo, you've got a really unique flare up in the top left-hand corner. And because this mag beam is so powerful, it's spilling everywhere. Now, for these types of shots, we're not always fully extended. A lot of times we are pulling the mag beam down to where it's either half or on the wider end. So we do get some of the natural spill to mimic that sunlight. Okay? So this scene was completely gray. They're standing in shade. It had been raining all day. So there's no color at all to this image. This is in the wintertime. All this stuff is dead. So we're using that fake sun with just a single light, a half CTO, and the mag beam. Yes, ma'am.
When would you use this compared to the sphere, compared to the ox?
So if you have a little bit more ambient light, so say you can mimic the sunlight at an earlier time of day. So most of the time when you see people doing the half CTO shots, the mag sun shots, they're doing it closer to when golden hour actually would be, when the ambient light is low. So this allows you to amplify that flash power and mimic the sun at any time of the day, basically, as long as it's overcast. I mean, if it's daylight and it's still sunny outside, it makes it a little bit harder. But say if it's cloudy at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this gives you the extra punch, that extra oomph that gives you a little bit more to it. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So that one was taken with a 70 to 200, and the flash was at half extended and half power.
Are you still using the
Tele lens, yes, always using the tele lens. The only time that we ever use the wide lens is when we're trying to project that gobo or putting like a gel in there up against the wall. Is about the only time that we ever use it on the wide end. There's a lot of photographers that use it that way very well. We just happen to use it for this reason a lot more than we do that. So, all right. So I moved pretty quickly. I threw these in here as just kind of a couple of bonus slides. So this is just a way that we came up with this idea of kind of thinking outside the box. So we were talking about using these gobos. So these mag masks here, you notice they have all these interesting patterns. They have about 30 different mag masks or so. They all have this unique pattern. Okay, so we got this idea. We love to shoot through things and find interesting framing and all that fun stuff. So we're looking at the mag masks one day, and I'm like, man, I wish they weren't so small so I could shoot through them. Well, we were at a wedding one day, and we had a whole bunch of spare time, so we were talking with the couple, and I had the mag masks in my bag next to me. So we started playing around, and I grabbed the macro lens, and I held the mag mask as far out as I could, took a photo of just the mag mask by itself, mostly in focus, and then lowered down my mag mask and had my couple positioned super, super far away as a silhouette. So you'll notice that background photo there. This is what we came up with. So this is just shooting through one of the mag masks and framing our couple basically inside that mag mask. Okay. But what we did is it is a double exposure. So we took the first frame with the mag mask, and then we take away the mag mask, take a photo of the couple, and then we align it on the back of the camera or in Photoshop, however you want to do your mag masks. Okay. So this is just kind of a different take with all these really fun and cool patterns where you can make some really cool silhouettes and different things. So here's another one. So same concept. We shot the macro lens on this crazy sun-looking mag mask, and we framed our couple super far away inside the negative space here. And then we just happened to get lucky that on that second frame with the couple, that there was a little bird flying through there, and it happened to just line up perfectly for the double exposure. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions on this technique? I know this is kind of weird and out there, but any questions on that? No? All right. Did y'all have any other questions on how we use the mag beam to throw the light at a farther distance? Yes, ma'am.
Most powerful is all the way up.
Yeah, most powerful when it's all the way out. Okay, because that's giving you that beam of light. The farther you come in, the light pattern is going to start to widen. Yep. Anybody else? All right. I'm sorry I breezed through this so quick, but thank you guys for coming out. And I'm going to be around, and we will answer any questions. I'm going to hang out over here for a little while. Be happy to talk MagBeam or any of the other modifiers. We don't just use this, I promise. We use all of them. But if you want to join the MagMod community on Facebook, Trevor mentioned the hashtag that we use. If you use the MagBeam, use the hashtag TeamBeam when sharing your Mag images. That way we can follow along and enjoy everything. Follow us on Instagram at Chad Winstead Photo. I'm terrible at Instagram and I need more followers, so please. And then our website is chadwinstead.com. But yeah, thanks so much for coming out, and that's pretty much all I have. All right.